Just the typing.
We all composed a bit.
I'd help to edit Thomas's.
But she is a radiant beauty.
He's off topic.
It's really, really lovely, guys, but you have to delete it. It's like cheating or...
Nonsense. We are guests in your house every day, and you are the most incredible hosts.
Yes, every word's the truth.
We never wanted to leave.
Bit of luck, eh?
Hello and welcome to Haunting Button House. It's a BBC Ghost podcast. Messed that one right up, didn't I? But it's staying in.
What's a BBC?
Because I usually do Haunting Button House, a BBC Ghost podcast, but I completely cut that bit off.
Otherwise nobody's going to know
what is this? What are they talking about? And who are these people? Well, these people are Luke and Tash. So there we go. That's our intro, and we're sticking with it. How are you, Tash?
I'm alright, thanks, Luke. How are you?
I'm not too bad. What have you been up to recently?
Oh. What a question. We went to see some fireworks.
We did, yeah. I've got that in mind.
And saw some flowers.
Collectively called the Shrewsbury Flower Show. So they were all one event. But
yeah. So we went to that.
Yeah.
And we ate some food. You had a big loaf of
bread.
With some curry in it.
Yeah. It sounds worse than it is. Basically like a curry that they hollow out a third of a loaf. They hollow it out, put the curry in, and then you just eat the curry out there, and then you've got the bread. It's basically just a bread bowl of curry, which I thought was innovative.
Oh, yeah.
Although eating an entire loaf of bread is hard work.
That's why I didn't have it. So.
You had pizza.
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was our time at the Shrewsbury Flower Show.
We what else was there?
There were some bands.
Well, if you can call them that.
I'd say the Madness cover band was good.
Yeah.
The Take That one less so.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if the Take That cover band is a listener. Yeah. Imagine that crossover.
They were not good. It was... Well, I know there's only 3 of Take That left, but there was only 3 of them. And I feel like if you're going to see Take That tribute, you want them in their heyday.
Yeah, you want prime.
Prime Take That.
Not
I was actually
washed
really
up
looking
Take
forward
That.
to the Take That tribute.
Yeah.
I'm bitterly disappointed.
As you were with the small furry animals.
Yeah. So I saw on the lineup that there was something called Small Furry Animals, and I was like, this is definitely a bit of me. I thought maybe some rabbits jumping over things or some guinea pigs, so I ran down there, and it was a band, a cover band of
small
12
children.
to 14-year-olds. So I left.
I mean, in fairness to them, they weren't bad.
No, they were quite good.
But they weren't small furry animals, so...
They weren't what was advertised.
No. So
anyway, that's less of what we've been up to.
Basically,
more
yeah.
podcast. So we've had some feedback from last week. Marianne says, good episode. I love the Annie thread and her relationship with Mary. Helping Mary find her tongue and Thrash talking the living was so funny. Annie's sudden... it still makes me uncomfortable to say this. Sucking off was stunning. Mary must have been so lonely without her. Mike's cultish friends coming in was mirrored in a US Ghosts episode when an entire cult moved into the mansion.
Okay.
So UK Ghosts is much different than US Ghosts. The humour difference is striking, but one thing to consider: US Ghosts only has 22 minutes to air their episode, not a lot of time to ramble and lie in the field like the captain and Kitty. I love that part of the episode. And the pet cemetery. I wonder why there aren't more ghost animals hanging around.
I wonder if it's because, like, animals aren't so hung up on things, you know what I mean? They're quite just living in the moment, and I guess you wouldn't have too many regrets as an animal.
Yeah, a bit more free to you just move on.
I
Not
worry.
got any unfinished business.
Exactly. Yeah. So I worry.
Yeah, maybe that's true. Hang on, we have seen ghost animals.
There's a ghost pigeon, definitely.
Yes.
Um,
Have we seen others? I don't think we have we?
I haven't seen another one. I don't
No,
remember.
I'm
there
thinking
being
a dog, but then it was
one. No,
Barclays.
it's just Barclay's dog. Yeah.
We've not seen him for a while, have we?
Yeah. I know he definitely comes back into it.
Yeah.
But
Never really
yeah.
completely forgot they existed.
Yeah.
Marianne said, I nearly passed out hearing Luke give this episode a 10, Tash 2. It was a solid 9 in my book. Well,
There you go.
we aimed to surprise.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So,
0 to hero.
Caroline said, I'm amazed they brought Annie in for a tiny part in the Thomas Thorne affair in Series 2 and that we don't get to see her or even reference her again until Series 4. It kind of makes you think like they hadn't planned to bring her back, maybe.
Or they had written a bigger part for her later on, or like they'd written something and they were like, we should probably seed that there's another ghost that existed here before.
I mean, it definitely feeds well into the Mary story and like makes sense, obviously. But the only other thing I thought of, and I hate going back to it because I feel like we just talk about it all the time, is the impact of COVID. And like maybe they just couldn't have like another person on set, so they had to maybe write
Possibly,
her out of Series 3. And then like by Series 4 we'd kind of got to a point where it was a bit more relaxed, wasn't it? But yeah, so maybe that's it. We won't know unless we ask them.
Well, that is true. Yeah. Unless it's probably documented somewhere. Do you know what? It's probably once we've finished our podcast, it's probably best go back and listen to the official podcast because I wonder if they mention all this.
Yeah, we've always said like we've not listened to it at all.
I just don't want to, because we'll just end up repeating their opinions.
Yeah, definitely. Probably should have just read all of Caroline's sort of section there. So she says that it's a long lead in. It does make me wonder if in an original plan the Annie story might have been slated for somewhere in Series 3 and then for whatever reason it was decided it would work better here. So it's kind of what we said, isn't it?
Yeah, I wonder if there's just something like going the way.
Caroline said, we were pondering whether parents watch ghosts with younger children. It seems from posts on the internet that the only concern parents had is whether or not the Christmas episode with Nick, the homeless person, calls into question the existence of Father Christmas, which it skates near to but doesn't cross the line.
Yeah. That's it's mad that's something. One of the things that you have to worry about.
Yeah.
Like, is that not about a severed head basically?
Yeah.
Around there?
It seems a lot of people watch the series with their kids, so yeah, I think we've we know people that watch it with their children. So.
Yeah, it's pretty tame, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think there are bits, especially stuff like
in this episode. I thought there's some quite
that Julian says, and you're like, I'm not sure, but it depends on the children as well. I think you kind of have to take that into consideration that every child is different and is gonna like or not like it. So
and as we've said before, kids just don't pick up on stuff until they know what it means. They don't understand what it is. So
Caroline said, a pretty good episode all told, I think. I don't score, but if I did, this would be high because of all the ghost character stuff. So Alison sent us an email
the Alison.
No, you always say this.
Do I?
Different Alison.
I don't even remember my own jokes.
Different Alison. So Alison said in Australia that she's from Australia and grew up watching British comedy. The more eccentric and irreverent, the better. So it's kind of what we were talking about from I think it was Cheryl's question about classic, sort of like classic comedy, British comedy. And Alison said started as a kid with the Goodies.
Yeah, it's what's his name? Bill Oddie was in the goodies, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Monty Python and Spike Milligan's books and shows. Then discovered the Young Ones and comic strip. That's you said about the Young Ones, didn't you?
Yeah. Comic strip's the same as well.
Okay. Later got into the Mighty Boosh and all the related shows like Nathan Barley, Garth
Marenghi's Dark Place. That's one of my favourite TV shows.
Flowers and Nighty Night.
Yeah.
So Mighty Boosh was pretty big when I was in school. Like sort of 2008 it was maybe at its like height, I don't know.
Yeah. It feels weird. I've not watched it in so long, but I still just remember I mean, to be honest, it's one of those
I could probably quote it.
it's one of those things that like it's hard to forget just because of how strange it is, you know what I mean? Like so like the characters do jump out at you, but yeah.
Alison said love Matt Berry.
Yes. Yeah.
And some of the really biting satires like the Day Today and Charlie Brooker shows. Then of course everything the Six have been involved in. Charlie Brooker is
Black Mirror.
Yes.
Yeah. He used to do like before he started doing like Black Mirror though, he used to do something called TV Wipe and stuff like that, where he basically like pick apart like how TV is and like different stuff that's on TV. It's really funny, to be fair. Like yeah.
Alison also said the one thing that kills comedy is a laugh track, which you hate, don't you?
Depends. I wouldn't say hate, but like
Alison said it dumbs the comedy down, and the American versions of shows tend to lack subtlety. So it's, I think, although like TV shows like Friends, I think need a laugh track or I need something.
Yeah.
But even like Only Fools has a laugh track, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say it's quite old. It's an old school thing. I don't think
Friends was filmed in front of like a live audience.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So is that a laugh track?
Yeah, it would be a laugh track.
Yeah, because it's like added in, isn't it? It's a heightened laugh track.
They did it to like give you something to sort of know
when to laugh.
When to laugh. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it does work sometimes. I think it's needed sometimes. But I get it. What always makes me feel weird with a laugh track is... Oh, I thought you were like, I know what you're going to say.
No.
What always makes me feel weird with a laugh track, and it's like, how old is that laugh track?
Yeah,
and the
if they've
people
inserted
who were
into
laughing,
it,
like, they might be dead now.
Yeah. I like... I don't know. I wouldn't say I hate laugh tracks, but I do quite like it when stuff subverts it. You know what I mean? Like puts a laugh track in when something's not funny or something like that. Or there's a good Tim Robinson sketch where he's in like a recording of like a sitcom with a laugh track, and every time people are laughing, he tries to talk into the microphone and get himself on there. But yeah, it's quite Anyway.
Yeah, so Alison also said they also did a version of the Australian comedy Kath and Kim and totally missed the point. They have some great original shows though.
Kath and Kim,
Not heard of that.
You'll know it from like clips. Like, do you know like there's like clips on TikTok where it's like an Australian woman talking like in a really sassy manner. That's from Kath and Kim. That is.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll have to have a look.
You'd probably like it actually. I've never watched it. I've only ever seen bits and pieces, but yeah, it is quite. It does look quite funny.
And then Alison said, in this episode, I loved Annie breaking free from all the restrictions of her Puritan life and teaching Mary to speak up. She must have missed her so much when she was moved on. I'm going to say, like, it's just filth.
You're like Fanny at the moment.
And then Nick said, I love the relationship between the captain and Kitty in this episode. I get a real father-daughter feeling, which was also highlighted in an earlier episode with Kitty's flashback when the captain dressed as her father. I agree that this episode is great. Series 4 really is the best. So it's, I think their relationship, I think it's like kind of developed in the last couple of series, hasn't it?
I think all of them have. I think at the beginning of the series, like, all the ghosts, although they're living with each other, they're just kind of stuck with one another, and they kind of resent that fact, and they don't really get on as such. It's only after Alison arrives and like they start to see the benefit of all of them basically. So yeah, I think you definitely see that develop, and I think that's all to do with like Alison being involved. Yeah. So yeah.
Should we get on with the episode?
So this week we are looking at season 4, episode 3. I had to look, and I was like, I haven't written it down actually what it is. So some good recall on that one. The episode is entitled "The Hardest Word." It was directed by Simon Hind, written by Lawrence Rickard, and the original air date was the 7th of October 2022. So quite a short intro scene. This one we see.
Yeah, it was a short intro scene last time, wasn't it?
Yeah. I wonder if they've kind of got all the exposition kind of stuff out of the way with their intro scenes. With this now, you can jump straight in because it's like we know who all the characters are. We know everything about them, or most things about them. You can just start like in the middle of things.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe we analyse stuff that it's just how it is.
No, I remember someone once said, if you spot it, it's been put there for a reason.
Yeah, it's my media teacher said
there you
that.
go. And I think you told me that.
Yeah.
So there you go. Quote from Tash.
What was his... Oh, I can't remember his name.
I'd be hard pressed to remember
It was
any
A-level,
of my...
so it was like over 10 years ago.
I can remember like a few of my teachers' names. Anyway, this isn't recall cast. Anyway, so yeah, we start and we see Alison just like panting at the start, like she's just out of breath. We cut to the ghosts and they're all shocked and or upset in Kitty's case. Mike is sort of popping his head around the door, just looking confused and scared at the same time. And Alison leaves. Leaves, not tree leaves, like leaves. I don't know why I felt like I said that weird then. Do you know when you say a
No,
word?
you said it fine.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. She leaves and they both say the same thing. So the ghosts and Alison, they both say that that's the most they've ever been told off, or she says that's the most she's ever told them off. So we obviously know from that her sort of being out of breath is the immediate aftermath of this telling off, but we don't know what it is or why. Yeah, and we don't find out for a long period, to be honest, or exactly what set it off. So, but that's the intro. When we come back, we see Kitty, and she says that she's never seen her so angry. She says that she's used a word she's never heard of before, both as a verb and a noun. I mean, you can fill in the blanks there, probably, what she said.
The best word.
Yeah. And Julian says, starts by saying that he's never been told off like that before. But then as he's doing that, he then goes on to tell a story where he has been, because obviously Julian has a story where he's done something bigger, better, stronger, you know what I mean? Elsewhere, we see Alison just explaining her frustrations. She's stressed out with the business and the lack of business that they've got. And that the ghosts are sort of another thing that she has to worry about. And Mike does say that there are a lot and he can't even see them. So, and then we cut back and we just hear the end of Julian's story, which I don't have the full details, but it involves an arms deal and a prostitute. So, which
I dread to think.
Yeah, sounds about right for a Julian story.
Kitty goes, too confused to cry. It's like what she said before when she was like, too sad to cry.
Yeah, yeah. Pat and the ghosts realise that they need to make this right. They've upset Alison. And Robin says that they just need to say sorry. It cuts back to Alison and we see she's just picked up the phone and he's been very pleasant to a customer, the Carters. Up until the moment she hangs up, and then she absolutely gives them both barrels, basically. I think everybody's done this at work, haven't they, when they've been off a call? Maybe. I don't know. Just me. No.
I'm not admitting to anything.
Slanderous, yeah. I didn't say which job I did it at. But yeah, so we find out that they've cancelled. She says that it's because they're evil, not the fact that one of their cats is ill. It's just that they're evil.
Getting deja vu here. I feel like we nearly cancelled a holiday because she wasn't very well.
Literally, her tooth just fell out of her mouth. We're like, what is happening? So Mike says, with this, obviously, it's bad that they don't have anybody staying there now, but they now have a freed up guest house that Alison could use to get away and just take a bit of a break, because obviously she's a bit frazzled at the moment. And he asks what she wants to do, and she says spa or a meal or a picnic or the cinema. So Mike comes up with a great idea. Let's just do them all in one day and really relax.
What would your perfect day be?
My perfect day sounds like then they do that on Hot Fuzz. the reporter keeps coming up to them and asking them what their perfect Sunday would be. My perfect day, probably what Alison and that end up doing later on. If not doing a whole lot, probably just be like, if I could get a brand new game that I could just get fully invested in and just sit there and just like zone out to that and just like not do anything. What's your perfect day?
Well, firstly, I'd like to wake up,
Yeah.
and first I'd like to wake up.
That's good start to the day.
I'd like to wake up.
Is it like Pitbull? I don't know. Every day above ground is a good day.
I'd like to wake up in like a nice, big, comfortable bed, take my time to wake up, but wake up early enough so that I could walk down. Hopefully I'm on like a beach or something.
Are we doing the full day? Okay.
I'd just like to be by the sea, eat some chips.
Chips by the sea.
Chips by the sea. That's it really. Just
fair enough.
Anything by the sea.
Anything by the sea. Oh, I could do that, because then I could do the same thing by the seaside, and then you could go for a walk, eat chips, come back. We're laughing. Maybe.
Sorry, my perfect day wouldn't be not there.
I'd end up ruining it. Fair enough. But yeah, so they decide this is going to be their perfect day and just do all of the things that Alison wants to do at once. The ghosts all decide that they need to send the person that Alison likes the most.
To be very careful. Just saying, if we want Alison to hear us out, we should send the person she likes the most.
Very well, I shall try, but I can't guarantee that.
I was thinking more, Kitty.
Is that wise under the circumstances? After all, it was Kitty who pushed her over the edge.
That's a lie.
You said you wish she was dead.
No, I didn't. Quite the opposite. I said that I wanted to comfort her and hope that one day, God willing, I'd be able to hug her and hold her. Yes, I see what you mean. But it was you who made her use the C word. It was you who was being callous.
Come on, it was one little finger.
It was inappropriate.
I just so missed the texture. I was being the soldier.
You are not to use that term.
Oh, here he goes, barking his orders. No wonder she's sick of you.
Do not lay this at my door, sir. I was merely telling Robin not to play with
No, you pin this on me with a panic. You do the yippee.
Excuse me, Robin, it was nothing to do with me.
Elsewhere, we see, we hear peaceful, serene music playing as Alison and Mike go to the gatehouse to unwind. However, they both quickly realise that they can't relax here, as they'll have to do all the tidying and the cleaning up afterwards.
I get that.
Yeah, going to a hotel's brilliant because somebody else does all that stuff for you.
Yeah, it's like when I've just cleaned the kitchen and then you come in, you're like, what can I have to eat? And I'm like, nothing. And nothing with crumbs. And nothing where you have to use any cutlery or a plate.
You got a tube of food squirted straight into my mouth. Like a licky treat or something. What they're actually called? We call them like licky licks. They're a cat treat for anybody who's they just think I've gone absolutely mental there. So yes, so yeah, they realise that it's it's not going to work there. Which I've mentioned, it's so hard to relax at home sometimes. Mike suggests that they go somewhere else, and we cut back to the ghosts all continuing arguing until Captain decides to break it up by firing his pistol into the air, or his finger, as we find out. He doesn't actually have a pistol, they all say. He says that they're all to blame in some part, that there's not one person who did wrong, they all did wrong here. There are so many innuendos in this speech. He says whether it was Julian's finger in Fanny's lip, and then he cuts to Mary and then goes to think of a reason and then realises, Mary's actually
not done anything wrong.
She did nothing wrong. And they realise that Mary's the perfect weapon in this case, because she's done nothing wrong. She could be their sort of way to say sorry. And Mary rightfully says no. She says that she took the fall for something she didn't do before, and it didn't work out well for her, as we see a puff of smoke come from behind her. So
I feel like, again, this is like kind of like the start of Mary just being separated
definitely
from the group.
I felt it in this episode.
I guess she wasn't like being separated from the group in the last episode, but this really does kind of like, it really does separate her, and like it's very much on point for Mary to not upset anybody, as we know from the last episode. But it just really pointed out, I think, that like
she's completely apart, because she literally for the rest of the episode goes and sits on her own. I do wonder as well. I don't know if the reason why Katie Wicks left was something to do with like filming schedules and stuff like that and not having time to do it. I wonder if even at this point she was like under the...
Can't do it, because a lot of the things she was filming on her own.
Yeah,
so it
exactly,
might have been filming separate to the rest of it.
That's usually when somebody's on their own for filming, there's a reason why. Usually... Yeah. In this case, I don't think she's like hard to work with or anything like that.
Absolutely not.
I think it's just a case of the schedules didn't fit or something like that.
I do like how she, after she said that it didn't turn out well for her, she says that she's going to leave the guilt for the guilty.
Yes, yeah, quite a strong statement to end on.
Yeah.
No one wants to volunteer. Well, they suggest somebody volunteers to say sorry. And nobody wants to volunteer, so they all start pointing the finger again at who should say sorry. Back in the house, Mike brings Alison... Sorry, the way I've written this. Mike brings Alison to the bedroom as a different place to relax. Alison says she just wants to lie down, but Mike says, no, we've got a list of the things that she wants to do. And he says... if we put some music on while she's lying down, we're already ticking one off the list. So he's trying to go through this list. They realise that to cook a meal, Mike needs some ingredients. So says that he's going to go and get some ingredients. But he doesn't have enough time to make a shopping list. He tells Alison she needs to text it to him. We cut back to all the ghosts arguing, and the captain this time quietens them down with a machine gun, or as he says, it's a Bren Mark 1 automatic rifle. Light machine gun. It would be. Good sound effect, I thought. He even did the shell casings falling on the floor after he'd stopped shooting. I was like, that's pretty good. The captain says that he's the ranking officer in this unit, I think he calls them. He says he'll use his manner of speaking from the army where he's direct, concise and to the point, and he's going to apologise on their behalf. So he does. He goes to apologise.
My command experience has taught me a thing or two about effective communication. You have to be direct, concise, and to the point. Apologies.
Not accepted.
Understood.
I like how when he returns to the ghost, he says, well, we'll just have to avoid her until she dies.
Or longer, I think he says as well after that, yeah. If she does turn into a ghost. Julian says that they need to be more nuanced, that communication's changed in the last sort of 60 years, 70 years probably at this point. 80 years? I don't know. Anyway. he says that he is the brains behind some of the best political slogans of this country's ever seen. Some of them, I'll list out the ones that he's created are family, 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 better for Britain, which I just like the way they said that one. I'm not even going to attempt it, but you can watch the episode. I'm in, are you? He doesn't explain what these are for. It's just these are, and he also says he came up with the phrase "a dog's just for Christmas," which Pat says, "I thought it was dogs aren't just for Christmas," and he says, "No, that we had a surplus one year." So,
God, he's the worst human being, isn't he?
And as he's walking out as well, we also get another one of his slogans. As Fanny says, "Oh, surely not him," and he says, "Yeah, that was election '87 or something like that." We see Mary wandering the grounds on her own, and she has a meeting of the Being in the Right Club. Just a very, very lonely club, unfortunately, on her own. Would you like to be in the Being in the Right Club?
I'm always in the Being in
Okay, yeah.
Being in the Right Club. I live in that club. I mean, we both know that's not true.
Julian goes to talk to Alison. He kind of knocks on the door using his sort of ability to poke. And so Alison opens the door to him and he just repeats a slogan of "We are closer together." And then basically goes to say literally all of the worst things he could possibly say. We then see Mike, and I just put Mike channels every man has to go to the shops on his own, and there's a slight deviation to the shopping list he has, where he calls Alison because things aren't there, and then panics and runs out of the shop. Just a bit of a panic. I think this is because they've run out of time because he's dithered too much on trying to figure out what to get instead. Julian goes back to the ghost, reports his...
It kind of
failure.
reminds me of,
sorry.
like, you know, the TV shows. They're normally, like, kids' TV shows where... Temple Run. Have you ever seen that?
Jungle Run, isn't it?
Jungle Run. I think it's
Temple
called
Run's
Temple
that
Run.
game on the...
Jungle Run.
Yeah.
When they're, like... They've all got to get out of, like, the room.
Yeah.
And then they're like, get out, come on.
Like, it was like the same Crystal Maze and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to...
But Jungle Run's basically Crystal Maze. Yeah.
I've never really watched Crystal Maze, but Jungle Run's better.
But yeah, if the door was closing and they had like 5 seconds, I'm like, get out, otherwise they get trapped in. You have to waste it. I think in Jungle Run it was a monkey statue.
Yes, it was a monkey statue.
It was a crystal in Crystal Maze. You see exactly the same. Literally had to buy them out with a crystal.
Such a good show.
Yeah.
I always wanted to go on that show.
I always wanted to go on Crystal Maze. You can do it now, actually. You can go to the Crystal Maze experience.
It's not the same as being on telly, though, is
It's
it?
really not. No. It's like the Taskmaster thing that we found out. It's like, I want to be on the telly. I don't want to... Anyway, yeah. We'll continue. So Julian goes back and reports his failure. And Pat then quotes Reggie Dwight, also known as Elton John. He says that the sorry seems to be the hardest word, to which Robin says, no, that's not the hardest word. The hardest word is apothecary, which we find out is him trying to say apothecary, and he just cannot get it. And Pat says maybe making their apology via talking, sorry, is not working out for them, like me, so they should sing it instead. We see Mike return. He has no items, and we also find out he's been held up for shoplifting. He says that he did manage to they call out the situation by making a joke about pinching stock because he tried to shoplift some stock cubes. They decide they're going to get pizza instead, and they're going to have a pizza picnic. It's not a bad idea, but as soon as they have that idea, the heavens open and they realise we can still
inside picnic.
An inside picnic, yeah. He tells her to keep relaxing, but also to order the pizza. So
that is a lot of pressure.
It is a lot of pressure
to order the pizza,
especially to just say order the pizza. It's like, which one, what toppings, like what? Especially if we're going to do old school on the phone. That's the stress. You know what I mean?
Did she ring the pizza?
I think she did. Yeah.
Did she?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I literally cannot remember the last time I called. The
Chinese.
Chinese will do it all the
we
time.
have to because they don't do online.
They don't do online, yeah. That's true.
They're that good.
Yeah.
They don't do online.
But we still order them.
No, I mean, like, they're that good. They don't need online orders.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
They rely purely on the old school method.
But whenever somebody asks what's the best Chinese in our local area, they always come up top, so...
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh.
They're so good.
Oh, yeah, the word of mouth. Yeah.
That they don't need to... Hopefully someone gets what I mean.
I got what you mean.
Like, they're so good that they don't need to be online.
Yeah, they're still going, Anyway, let's move on.
Oh, God. Okay.
Pat says to Thomas that he can't really do the song because he's a bit maudlin in his words. And they said they need something a bit more upbeat, like Ginganguli, to which Thomas thinks that's some kind of disease, to which he says Byron probably had it. The captain says they need to take some more inspiration from this John Elton. So Julian, as the only person who can actually interact with a piano, starts to play a single note, to which Kitty ad-libs some vocals over the top of it. And Fanny decides that she doesn't want to be part of this. She calls it a circus of contrition, to which Pat says that's a good name for a band, actually, which isn't bad, to be fair. Robin is still struggling trying to say apothecary, as he's got Humphrey trying to teach him. Mary's still sat on her own, being very smug about being right. Back inside, we see that Peter's...
Sorry, you missed two good quotes from Mary there. So when she sat outside, she says, no, because she obviously hears Kitty singing from... Kitty's inside, Mary's outside. And she says, no point wailing about it, you made your bed. And then she says, justice is a fickle wench. So, I thought there were, shouldn't be missed out.
Shouldn't be skipped, yeah. Back inside, we find that the pizza is definitely not on the way, as Mike is on the phone to them, as they offer him a refund and whatever else. He decides that all they've got now is to go to the garage, which all they sell is crisps. So garage crisps it is, basically, for this picnic. We go back to the ghosts and they're all arguing over what genre of music this should be. Julian wants it to be R&B. They're a bit confused as to what that is. And he says, it's just letters like S&M. Again, none of them are sure what that is. But obviously Julian is. Kitty wants it to be country. Pat wants it to be more pop. Thomas says he wants it to be a bit more electronic.
A real jump there, isn't
it? Yeah. And Julian says, with all of this, he says, there's no idea how they managed to pull off Band-Aid. And Pat starts to describe how to pull off a Band-Aid. And Julian realises that Pat... in his words, he had passed before Band-Aid happened. To which Julian says,
Pat would have loved Band-Aid.
He would have loved Band-Aid, yeah. He really missed out on that one. Yeah. Julian explains what it was of, I don't really need to explain what Band-Aid is, unless you're very young, I guess. Don't know.
Oh, is it not... What if you're, like... Is it not a British thing?
I think it was, like, worldwide, wasn't it? Band-Aid.
Yeah.
It's a load of pop stars who got together to make a charity single for Christmas.
They've done like 3 now, haven't they?
Yeah, they've done loads now.
3.
3's a lot. The same song.
Yeah, but different artists.
Yeah. They progressively got worse and worse, though, didn't they? Let's be frank.
They started off quite good, didn't they?
This explaining what Band-Aid is gives them all an idea of them sort of pooling their abilities. Alison is sat eating crisps, different type of crisps. and she's going through all the different combinations. I think at one point, doesn't Mike tell her to have beef and what was the other one? I can't even remember.
I didn't write it down,
Yeah. I think it was like beef and cheese and onion. He says it makes it taste like a pasty, which let's try it out.
Live taste.
If only.
We need to get the fennel back.
No, nobody would be interested in us crunching crisps on a podcast.
No.
Mike runs her a bath, and he's put all the effort in. She's got bubbles, she's got music, she's even got the candles. She gets in, and Mike goes to get in, but realizes they don't have the wine, so he goes off to get it. Completely in the nude. We see the ghost.
It's because I knew what was coming.
Yeah,
It's Pat's face. He's just like, okay.
To be fair, all of the ghosts in this one, if you pause it, everybody's face is interesting to look at. So yeah, we see Mike run off, and the ghosts are getting ready to practice their song. Pat counts them down, and we see Mike run past in the nude twice. I noted Fanny's face in this one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But yeah, if you are that way inclined, just go through and click and pause it. Yeah, and
screen. I want to say
click each screen. Yeah, sorry, that was my fault. I started with click anyway.
Frame.
Click
each frame.
Yeah, that probably makes more sense. So they're now both in the bath, and Mike is trying to book them a table at a French restaurant, using his typical English person who knows 2 French words.
Bonjour.
Yeah.
Merci.
Yeah. But as they're confirming the booking, typically he drops his phone into the bath and then goes to knock the red wine into the water. So it goes everywhere, all over them, basically. They both get out, realising the bath's been ruined, and Mike tries to call them back up to confirm that table booking, but in the 2 minutes since making that first phone call, they've lost it. Also, they've now got no hot water because Mike used it all for the bath, so it's just a cold shower to wash off with. So it's just going downhill, basically.
Mm-hmm.
We see Mary outside watching on as the ghosts are all singing. Again, it feels like she's kind of regretting being in the what was the club called again? Being in the right club. Being in the right club, yeah. She's missing out on all this fun. They all are singing at wildly different keys. And
I can't remember if it was this bit or before when Kitty was singing, but Julian says my key was in there somewhere.
Yeah. My favourite quote was Fanny says, one is reminded of Battersea Dog's Home. And I think it's Humphrey says, why was there a fire? They realise that collectively they're not that great, but Pat says it would be a cold heart not won over by the sentiment. And Fanny immediately pipes up, it did nothing for me. So she just kind of points at her. But with this sort of, we go back to Mike and Alison, and he realises everything else has failed, but they still got the cinema. He set up like a little, it's just a sofa really, but in front of the TV. And he says he's found a really nice, relaxing 90-minute film that they can watch to chill out called A Quiet Place. Now, anybody who's aware of horror films knows what Quiet Place is.
Is it the one where you got to be quiet? Otherwise
yeah, the monsters get you. A kid dies in the first 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, okay.
Like quite brutally killed as well. So it's like the exact opposite of a calm, peaceful film. We just see the aftermath of them saying it is quite traumatizing. And then as this is happening, we see the ghosts all come into the room. Julian puts on a beat, which is too fast at first, so they slow it down, and then the performance begins.
What are they doing?
I'm looking at it, and I don't know.
We've made mistakes. more than a few.
So many more.
Our heart it breaks, 'cause we upset.
Your voice went very loud.
We can't pretend this makes it all alright. But baby, we're so sorry tonight.
This is our
Sorry song. It's such a sorry song.
Being so not right will keep us up all night. So is it all right to right this wrong?
Hear our
Sorry song.
talking better. Sorry song.
sorry song.
Have you ever heard a song with such sorry in? So say it's all okay and stop us worrying.
'Cause every
Oh,
time.
my heart doth pine for that face divine.
What?
Yeah. For those eyes so fine, hair so brown. Darling, take my hand and feed this peace dove. Why we making war when we could be making love?
It is not in the tone of the
Get to
piece.
the end.
So forgive us our crude tautology.
Now, Kitty.
And please accept our sincere.
Apothecary.
Apologies.
You know what he said.
At the end of the day, yeah, sorry.
That felt weird.
You have no idea.
That was their sorry song. Few notes. I like the rap section from Thomas. Every good boy band has the rapper of the group, and of course that would be Thomas in this. Fanny filling in for Kitty just on I mean, literally the last minute.
Yeah,
you know, fair
she
play.
does well, to be fair.
But yeah, as Alison is, you're probably stunned by the song. No, I'll be honest, this scene is the one that I remember the most from all of like Ghosts, basically. So like, I was expecting this episode to come up at some point, and like, because I remember it so vividly. I don't know why, like that this one specifically. Maybe it's just this song. Like,
Maybe. I think stuff like that does stick out for you, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
I completely forgot
Yeah.
saying that. I was well, obviously when they no, like, I actually completely forgot the episode. I didn't know what was coming.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is the only one. As soon as it said the hardest word, I knew exactly which episode it was. But yeah. But yeah, they apologise, and Alison asks them why are they sorry.
That's the worst when someone asks.
Yeah. And they realise they don't actually know. They're just saying sorry for the sake of it, basically to clear the air. And she explains that every day she's bending over backwards trying to make the business work when she's already waiting on 8 people. And she doesn't even get a word of thanks from them. She said she doesn't want to sing and dance. She says she wants some help. I know you can't help, and then says, but I don't want you to be so unhelpful, basically. And after getting told off again, I know I've probably butchered that quote. They get told off again, and they all leave, and they say that's the second most they've ever been told off. Mike, as they've left, Mike says, I think you guys should leave. I think Mike is quite good in this song as well, when it cuts to him, and it's just him hearing the beat, looking around like...
He doesn't know what is going on at all.
Later we see Alison is sort of later on in the night. Alison's still stressed, and Mike sort of feels that he didn't try hard enough to make this a stress-free day for her. And Alison takes the list that he'd created of the things that she wanted to do, crosses everything out, and just writes nothing on it. And she says that's what she wants to do today. So they do. They just lie down, sort of on the bed, and fall asleep, basically. And later that night, Alison's phone goes off, and she's had a new positive review on the little guest house. Yeah, a guest house is sort of page, whatever it is. And Alison goes downstairs, and we see the ghosts are all there around the computer as they've quite clearly posted this review.
Julian says still a bit crampy round the knuckle. And Pat says, I've been on it for 10 minutes because he's like massaging his like little finger. Well, his index finger.
Yeah. So they realise that Alison thanks them for doing it, but then says that then they need to take it down. It's cheating. Obviously, they're not guests. And the captain kind of speaks up and says that they are guests in her house every day, and he says that she's a great host. And they say that they've never wanted to leave, which is handy. That's what I say. Quite emotional, but I'll be honest. This one I was like, I didn't cry or anything. Obviously, I wouldn't cry, but no, I did feel like welling up at this bit. I was like, this is quite sweet. You know what I mean? They all make up and are all,
She forgives them, basically.
Yeah, she forgives them. Mary comes back and asks, she's expecting them to be punished for their transgressions. And Alison says, oh no, we've made up now. And this absolutely sends Mary over the edge. She gets very upset about this. And we sort of get the build up to it as she's about to explode. It cuts to them all leaving, and Alison says, I think that's the most that she's ever been told off. I did make a note at this point. They've been told off a lot of times. What's the most you've ever been told off? That's a non-traumatic event that we can talk about, I suppose.
Oh my God.
It's the most you've ever been told off.
I don't know.
I have one example that I remember. I don't know if it's the most I've ever been told off, but it's the most I remember being told off. Do you want to... Have you got anything?
No, go on.
At school, once I was trying to mimic a shark eating something just to make my friend laugh. But the teacher was talking at the same time. Now, a shark hand thing kind of looks like you saying somebody's talking too much. So the teacher thought... me, who's never in trouble, was mocking her and saying she's yabbering on. I remember getting absolutely chewed out, like chucked out of the... Not literally chucked out, but you know what I mean? I got told to go to another class, and then he asked, why are you here? And I was like, I don't know. I've been told off. And he's like, okay, sit there. And then I got another telling off when that teacher told... her version of things to him, and I was like, I don't know what I've done here, but I'm just getting absolutely told off by everybody. I got 2 days detention for that. So yeah, moral of the story: don't try to make friends laugh at school.
I definitely didn't get told off at school.
Oh really? Okay, that's good.
I can't think of anything.
No.
I'm too good, obviously.
Too good.
Too good.
Well, there you go. Anyway, that's the end of the episode. What do you think?
It's a good episode.
Yeah.
Like good laughs and good one-liners as well from all of the different ghosts. Really, they all had like good quotes, good like sort of funny bits. I think I haven't really got that much to say on it, to be fair, apart from what we've already said about sort of we feel this is what I felt like this is very much the lead up to like something happening to Mary, because you just definitely just feel kind of segregated from the group. I think I still score it really highly because I thought it was funny. So I've put that it would be an 8, but a 9 purely for the song.
Okay.
So that's what I thought anyway.
Another fantastic episode. Really simple premise. Some heartfelt feelings and a lot of jokes throughout. And as I mentioned, I remember this the most from our original watch through, like more than any other episode. There's a lot of them like, I forgot this happened. This one I knew exactly what would happen in the episode. And that song scene just really makes it hold up. So what would you give it numbers? Oh, you gave it a 9, didn't you? I gave it a 9 as well. IMDb though, an 8. Hard to please this IMDb lot lately.
No, we always come back to this it's an average. And it's really difficult to kind of take that as you got to just take it with a pinch of salt, haven't you? Really.
Yeah. So it was an 8 from 356 votes. So. Ghost Stories with Luke and Tash. Right, so this week's scary story. What is the segment again?
Ghost story. Well,
Ghost Stories. I guess this one's just a scary story. Not a ghost story. It's
let down already. Started.
So it's entitled The Smiling Man. I've always been a night person, so I'd often find myself bored after my roommate, who was decidedly not a night person, went to sleep. To pass the time, I used to go for long walks and spend the time thinking. I spent 4 years like that, walking alone at night, and never once had a reason to feel afraid. I always used to joke with my roommate that even the drug dealers in the city were polite, but all of that changed in just a few minutes of one evening. It was a Wednesday, somewhere between 1 and 2 in the morning, and I was walking near a police patrolled park quite away from my apartment. It was a quiet night, even for a weeknight, with very little traffic and almost no one on foot. The park, as it was most nights, was completely empty. I turned down a short side street in order to loop back to my apartment. When I first noticed him, put more emphasis on that. When I first noticed him, at the far end of the street, on my side, was the silhouette of a man dancing. It was a strange dance, similar to a waltz, but he finished each box with an odd forward stride. I guess you could say he was dance walking, heading straight towards me. Deciding he was probably drunk, I stepped as close as I could to the road to give him the majority of the pavement to pass me by. The closer he got, the more I realised how graceful he was moving. He was very tall and lanky. Wearing an old suit, he danced closer still, until I could make out his face. His eyes were open wide and wild, head tilted back slightly, looking off at the sky. His mouth was formed in a painfully wide cartoon of a smile. Between the eyes and the smile, I decided to cross the street before he danced any closer. I took my eyes off of him to cross the empty street. Sorry, I'm just getting a live reenactment of this story across me here. I took my eyes off of him to cross the empty street. As I reached the other side, I glanced back and then stopped dead in my tracks. He had stopped dancing and was standing with one foot in the street, perfectly parallel to me. He was facing me, but still looking skyward, smile still wide on his lips. I was completely and utterly unnerved by this. He started walking again, but I started walking again, but kept my eyes on the man. He didn't move. Once I had put about half a block between us, I turned away from him for a moment to watch the pavement in front of me. The street and pavement ahead of me were completely empty. Still unnerved, I looked back to where he was standing to find him gone. For the briefest of moments I felt relieved, until I noticed him. He had crossed the street and was now slightly crouched down. I couldn't tell for sure due to the distance and the shadow, but I was certain he was facing me. I had looked away from him for no more than 10 seconds, so it was clear that he'd moved very fast. I was so shocked that I stood there for some time staring at him, and then he started moving towards me again. He took giant, exaggerated, tiptoed steps, as if he were a cartoon character sneaking up on someone, except he was moving very, very quickly. I'd like to say at this point I ran away, or pulled out my pepper spray, or my cell phone, or anything at all, but I didn't. I just stood there, completely frozen, as the smiling man crept towards me. And then he stopped again, about a car's length away from me, still smiling his smile, still looking to the sky. When I finally found my voice, I blurted out the first thing that came to mind. What I meant to ask was, "What do you want?" in an angry, commanding tone. What came out was a whimper. What? Regardless of whether or not humans can smell it, they can certainly hear it. I heard it in my own voice, and that only made me more afraid. And he didn't react to it at all. He just stood there, smiling. And then, after what felt like forever, He turned around very slowly and started dance walking away. Just like that, not wanting to turn my back on him, I watched him go, and until he was far enough away to be out of sight, and then I realised something. He wasn't moving away anymore, nor was he dancing. I watched in horror as the distant shape of him grew larger and larger. He was coming back my way, and this time he was running. That's the end of the story. Shouldn't have to end it with that's the end of the story.
Oh wow.
Ooh, don't get any nightmares, kids. Just leave it there. Oh dear.
Thanks for listening. We love to hear what you think, and if you'd like to keep up to date with when new episodes of the podcast are released, you can follow us on our Instagram and our Facebook profile. Just search Haunting Button House. You can also get in touch via email at hauntingbuttonhouse@outlook.com.